Welcome to the State of Wyoming Subject Matter Minute, where we cover a wide variety of subjects related to State of Wyoming employment. This information is for you and me, the state employee. From hidden benefits to systems and processes, we'll make your job easier by giving you the lowdown, the how-to, and hopefully entertain you a bit along the way. And now, today's Subject Matter Minute.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Subject Matter Minute. I'm Matt Nagy. Thank you for joining me. Before I get started on today's episode, I want to first thank the subject matter expert from last episode, which was Wyoming Retirement System, specifically Polly Scott. She always makes sure that, I'm not making stuff up and that I'm getting things right. So I appreciate it, Polly. Thanks. Also, a couple episodes ago, maybe, I don't know, I briefly mentioned something about my daughter that I wanted to talk about, get off my chest. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the day, I mentioned that my parents had given us a Subaru Outback for our daughters to use. It was an older model, but a fabulous car that they had bought new. And so my older daughter got to drive it. Well, within 3 weeks, she totaled it. Don't worry, she was fine. It was a low speed thing. Well, so then after that, I had a 93 Camry that I bought from my parents a while back. It was a great car, as they are. I put enough money into it to make it tip top. So let her drive that. And about 5 months ago, she totaled that car too. Again, she's fine. This one was in Ridley's parking lot, right into a pole, dead center in the front. I mean, crushed it. I don't know. So I'm glad she was fine, but heartbreaking. 2 wonderful cars down the tubes. So she had to buy her next car herself, obviously. And now my younger daughter turned 16, so she is driving as well. And we set her up with a really cheap 97 Sentra. And we also tried to change her behavior with maybe some promises of helping her with a car after high school if she doesn't total this one. I don't know if it'll help, but so far so good with that one. All right, so thanks for letting me tell my story and get that off my chest. Now, I know that speaking to people when I tell this story that others deal with this, so a lot of you out there feel my pain. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about something related to our healthcare plan. It's a change you can make if you can afford it, and if it works for you. Today I'm going to talk about health savings accounts. Okay, health savings accounts, also known as HSAs. But before I go into that, I want to thank this month's subject matter expert on this topic, which is Ralph Hayes of Employees Group Insurance. Of course, it's Employees Group Insurance, right? Ralph helped me out. He actually has been doing this personally for a while, and he's a believer in it. So he was the perfect person to help me out with this information. Thanks, Ralph. Okay, so an HSA is like a personal savings account, but it is used for health expenses, medical expenses. Okay, so it was set up in 2003 by the government to allow those folks who had high deductible health plans a way to pay for current expenses and future expenses in a pretty tax favored way. All right, so in order to take advantage of an HSA, you have to, again, have a high deductible health plan. And like the name says, a high deductible health plan has a high deductible, okay? Currently, the state has one plan or 2 plans basically that you can use. For an individual, it's the $1,500 high deductible health plan. And for an employee with a dependent or basically families, it's a $3,000 deductible. Okay. Now keep in mind that when the deductible is high with these, it means that your monthly premium is lower. Okay. So like take me for instance. Right now I have a family plan at the $500 deductible point. Okay. This means that my premium is about $260 a month. Now, if I go to the $3,000 HDHP plan, my monthly premium goes down to about $63. Okay, so about a $200 difference there. All right, so if you go with this qualified plan that the state offers, you can open an HSA. Keep in mind, something to know, keep in mind that the state does not contribute to this plan. And the reason I say this, the reason I tell you this is because after all my reading, I've found that actually a lot of employers do contribute to HSAs kind of as a benefit, but not at the state. You have to fund this yourself, okay? So in 2019, you can contribute up to $3,500 as an individual into your HSA or $7,000 as a family. Okay, now at age 55, they give you a little extra room. If you can afford it, you can put another $1,000 per year into your account. Okay, so first I want to talk about the advantages to an HSA. First of all, the big one that caught my eye and got me excited is you get a triple tax advantage. Contributions are tax deductible, which means that you can either pull the money pre-tax out of your check, or any money that goes into the account after tax is deducted from your gross income on your tax return. Okay? Earnings are tax-free. Now, a lot of these accounts, you can earn money like an IRA basically, and these earnings are tax-free. Withdrawals are tax-free. Okay, so if they are used for qualified medical expenses, all withdrawals are tax-free as well. So you're talking a bunch of tax-free money right there. Okay. All right. So another advantage is funds roll over forever. Okay. So once you put them in, they're yours. This is not like a flexible spending account where you use it or lose it. This is your money to keep. Okay. All right. So as I mentioned briefly, the money in this account is invested in the good programs and can grow. Okay, so there's a lot of HSA providers out there, but you want to get one, obviously, that if you have excess in there, it can be invested like an IRA, and it can grow. Okay, another advantage is that it's portable. So the money is yours again, even if you change plans, change jobs, or you retire. Okay, another advantage is the HSA can be used for retirement after age 65. Okay, you can still use it for health expenses, but you can also use it for anything else without penalty. Now I'm going to go into this penalty thing in just a minute, because now I want to talk about the disadvantages of an HSA. The number one disadvantage, obviously, is the high deductible. It can be really difficult to come up with that kind of money for the deductible, especially in the first year or two of doing an HSA. That's understandable. Number two, unexpected healthcare costs. Kind of the same deal. If you aren't putting enough money into your HSA, or it's early on in your process, first couple of years, you might find it hard to pay for unexpected healthcare costs. Now, taxes and penalties. I mentioned this earlier. While you're allowed to withdraw the funds from these accounts for anything that you would like to, if you pay for non-qualified items, you will have to pay income tax and a 20% penalty. Now, I mentioned after 65, you don't have to pay the penalty. You'll still have to pay income tax on it, like an IRA, but no 20% penalty. Okay, so one last disadvantage is the pressure to leave the money alone. So you may be reluctant to seek out medical care because you don't want to spend that money that's over there making money. And of course, we want everyone to get medical care when they need to. Okay. All right. So really, both healthy young people on a budget who want to reduce their monthly payment and families who can afford the $3,000 or the high deductible and possibly max out the account. These are the kind of folks who might find these accounts especially beneficial. Okay. All right. So let's consider my situation for a second. This is me considering this whole thing. Okay. If I were to put the $200 a month that I save by going to the $3,000 deductible plan, I would be putting aside $2,400 a year. Okay. Not quite the deductible, but honestly, we haven't spent that much as a family for several years, mostly because we're done with like braces and that sort of thing, but we've also been pretty healthy. So even at that contribution level of $2,400 a year, I could probably expect some money to roll over. Okay. And then the account would grow. All All right. So, something to keep in mind if you're thinking about expenses at this point, preventive care is still covered with a high deductible health plan. Okay. So at the same rate as it is now with your lower deductible. Okay. So if we were to put a little bit more into the HSA, we could get it up to the $3,000 deductible pretty easily with $50 more a month. So a total of $250. That would get us to the deductible. Now, if we wanted to take it even further, I'm sure a lot of you, like me, use the flexible spending account. And typically we put in over $100 a month. Well, if instead we put that to the HSA, let's just say $100, that would put me at, or us, at $4,200 a year in our HSA. Okay, so even if you hit your deductible and paid your $3,000, you'd have a little bit to roll over. Okay, now there is co-insurance and all that to take into account too, but $4,200 a year, if you don't spend it all, you might be able to roll some over. Now, if you're spending all the money in your HSA every year, then you're losing out on the growth benefit. However, at least you aren't worried about the use it or lose it aspect of the flexible spending account, right? You're getting the same tax benefit, but you don't have the stress of, first of all, trying to spend the money or having to do it by a certain date or buying things you don't need, like these glasses I got. And I got another pair of sunglasses this year because we didn't have medical expenses. So I bought some computer glasses and then some sunglasses for in the car. Okay, so you get the tax benefits, but you don't have to worry about that if you go with an HSA. Okay. All right. So after having said all that, trust me, I don't know the best route for anybody, including myself. I'm just trying to wrap my head around this concept and see if maybe it would work for us. Okay. I do know that health expenses in retirement are one of the top expenses, and it's serious expense. In fact, the last number on the average that we'll spend on healthcare in retirement is $280,000. All right. So I'm not saying that the HSA will get us there, but it could certainly help and pay a chunk of that at that point, and certainly in an incredibly tax advantaged way. Okay. So again, I want to thank Ralph for getting me this information. I find it very interesting. I hope you do too. I'm not telling anyone what to do financially. If it works for your family, great. If not, stay with that sweet low deductible plan that you have and be happy about it. All right. So again, thanks for joining me on the Subject Matter Minute, and I'll see you next time.
You have been watching the Subject Matter Minute with Matt Nagy. Please help us out by subscribing. And join us next month when we'll cover another topic of interest for all state of Wyoming employees. Again, thank you for joining us on the Subject Matter Minute.